Guys doing good? All right, how's the weekend? Decent? All right. As far as today's practice, Tevin Jenkins, there's no change. It's the same. I would say it's trending in the right direction, which is good. Limited today will be Daz Newsome. He's coming off of PUP today, so he'll be limited. And then Javon Wims had his ankle stepped on the other day in practice when you all saw him go down, so he'll be limited. But again, I think he should be okay. We will be on fields 3 and 4, so we got a little walk over there and be doing that. And I want to start off by congratulating Robert Quinn's sister on winning the gold. Pretty special, pretty awesome. We've been following her for days, watching the races, and then last night several of us got together here and we checked it out on the big boy screen there in the ITC with Robert. So it was really, really neat, something I'll never forget, just seeing the emotions of him and being able to see his sister win the gold. There's only one of those, and she did it, so congrats to her. But with that, I'll go ahead and open it up.
Coach, when you see what happened in the quarterback room up in Minnesota, does it make you want to emphasize more or encourage our players even more about the vaccination?
No, we just stay the same. Just keep encouraging, educate. I think our guys, we're in a pretty good place right now, and for us, I mean, that's a part of this deal, and it's unfortunate, but we want to just make sure that we're just telling them everything we know, and then they go ahead and make their decision.
Is it something that could be a part of a roster decision when it push comes to shove, where you're looking at two guys and you're weighing factors, and is that one of the factors? Does the guy have?
No, not at all. I think that's for us. You got to look at who can play football and who can't, and if you keep it that simple, that's what we need to do. And that's the next part would be, okay, what is their own situation, and the players know that, but that's not our deal.
And you didn't get a whole lot of time to look at Daz in the spring before he got hurt. As he eases back in, what are you curious to kind of assess with his skill set and everything?
Probably just his ability to see. I thought he was doing well with the specific routes. Forget the coverages, just what route are you supposed to run within the play. He was doing good there, and then now I think he's going to have to really understand, okay, if I'm playing this position, line up, get set, and go, things are a lot faster. So he's a great kid, and he's got a great mindset. I'm impressed with him being able to get back here, because that was hard when he landed on that shoulder. So we'll just take it day by day, and he's got the one.
Yeah, with Justin, you've told us at different times specific things you're working on, like a huddle call.
Yeah.
Things like that. As you go into week 2, what specific things are you looking for him to progress in this week?
Well, now, so I think he really has the huddle part down in regards to calling the plays. He's, like I said to y'all, he sees the play when he calls it. He doesn't just read the play now. He's past that. So you can check that one off. He's got to continue to do that. Now it's going to be going through his progressions post-snap. Things change, right? Disguise coverages. They hide their blitzes. Knowing where your protection calls are, with being on the same page with the center. And that's where I think now, when things get real and you start putting the pads on and the tempo picks up and you're playing, now we want to be able to see him execute plays and play fast. That's probably the biggest thing.
How do you think it changes things for him mentally to not be the most dominant player on the field like he had been?
Yeah.
He'd been able to play a certain way because his talent was so far above, and now it's a little more of a level playing field.
That happens for a lot of these guys, these rookies in particular, is they are the big dogs or the big fish in the little pond, and now they're the little fish in the big pond. And you've heard me use that analogy before, but it's real. And when you have a competitor like Justin that has played in big-time games and had a lot of success, and now you come here and, for instance, that first day we were out here, and he's running cards. And it's like at times it's like telling a pitcher to throw balls, because we're trying to help the defense out. That can be frustrating for quarterbacks at times, but that's part of the process for that practice, for those 7 plays. Now these practices, now he's competing, he's trying to make plays. And again, the beauty of football is there's 11 players on one side of the ball that got to work. It's not just a game where it's just one person. So you got to make sure everything is in sync, and that's where he's got to be the leader when he's in there with that group and make sure that everybody's doing the right stuff.
Matt, when you first got here, I remember you saying about Mitch that you didn't necessarily mind an interception because you want your quarterback to kind of think he can zip it in there at will. Have you seen any of that with Justin? It seems like he's been aggressive at times.
Yeah, he's always been aggressive. That's been his mindset. So we were actually talking about it with the staff the other day, is making sure that depending on what the defense gives you coverage-wise, if it's not there, don't force it. And if your mindset is wired to be being aggressive and try to take chances, at times, for instance, 7-on-7 periods, right? There's no rush. So that's where you test it in 7-on. In team periods, where you want to be a little smarter, you want to play more of the game situation. So with Justin, he's wired that way, and we are working with him at times to say, hey, listen, if it's not there, just take the check down, and that's okay. And I know I joked around after the draft and talked about touchdown to touchdown mentality, which is still a great mindset, but at the same time, you got to be smart. And we have players that can make plays with the football in their hand, and he's going to start learning that.
All things being equal, would you rather have a quarterback whose mindset is aggressive?
Yes, 100%.
You know how confident he is? What have you noticed about when things don't go well for him? How his demeanor is and how he handles that?
Yeah, Deanna, I think from what I've seen so far, right? So far, I'm really impressed in that area. Not everybody has that, but you just see a guy that confidence is a great word because he's not cocky. He's very confident in himself, and I think he's confident in himself because he prepares. And when you prepare, you can be confident. And when you make a mistake, usually it's not because you didn't know what you were doing. If he makes a mistake, sometimes it's just a good play. Andy had that interception the other day, right, by Deion Bush. It was a hell of a play by Deion. But that was just a good play that he made, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes guys just make plays. So Justin, and a lot of and Andy and Nick too, but Justin specifically, that's the one thing that stood out to me, that I think he rebounds pretty well from that kind of stuff.
What have you seen from Jesse James through, about 4 practices so far?
What I've seen from him is what I saw on tape, and what Ryan saw on tape is just a guy that is a really good hybrid of blocking, but being able to do what you need to do in the pass game too. You guys have seen him make some nice big catches over the middle, on the sideline. He's got super long arms, and he's got friendly hands. So when you throw that football to a guy that's as tall as he is with the long arms, it's a friendly target. And you got to understand, for Jesse, he's been in different offenses, and only being here a couple weeks with some of the verbiage we have and everything, it's not easy. And he's conquered that part of the mental side. He still makes mistakes here or there, but we've told him, hey, that's going to happen. Just keep staying in the playbook. Know right now we're heavy with the plays we're doing, and we'll pull back as we go.
Cole talked to us last week about his summer school at tight end U. I'm curious, have you picked his brain about some of the things that he took away from that whole experience?
I did a little bit, like a day after he was there. I called and talked to him to see how it went. I think that's a phenomenal thing that those guys do with that tight end position, to run that, and it's such a great position. And so I think what was neat from him was him just picking some of the guys that were there, his brain, not just the main guys that were there, but the other guys, and just talking through routes, specific routes, and just little ways that they can add flavor to a route. So I didn't get into major details with him, other than I think that, number one, it's cool that he went, and number two, to be able to just try to extend your game and make it better. That's a great deal that those guys do.
One of the things that Travis told him was, don't run the line in the book. Now, I know you're a guy who's stickler for details and precision. How do you describe kind of the leeway you have as a tight end to be able to do that?
Yeah, no, that's a great example in the fact that we use that a lot. We say don't run the line in the book. Now, there's some concepts and some plays where you have to, and if you don't, it hurts the timing of the play. But there's others, and Kelsey giving him that advice, I was able to live that for 5 years there with him and see it. And Kelsey puts his own little deal on a lot of routes that not everybody can do, and but there are some routes that the way he does it and the way he sets up a defender can really be advantageous, and Cole has the ability to do that. So there's not, like, I actually like when you're creative and when you don't run the lines all the time. I like that. So we talk about details, and there's a catch-22, but you can only do that with certain people.
On the other side of that, with the quarterbacks, I mean, how long does it take to, develop that chemistry so that they can figure out what the tight end is going to do if they have that ability to?
It does, and that's the offseason. Adam, that takes some time, and there's a specific route that we have with our tight ends that it was a newer route. It was a concept and route, but the route was newer last year. We put it in last year. It was new. I thought it was going to be really good, and it didn't end up being too successful for us. So we got away from it, and we just got away from it. And then the OTAs, we got back to it, and they worked at it. The tight ends and the quarterbacks got the timing down, got the top of the route. What happens at the top of the route versus this leverage? What happens at the top of the route versus man? And now they're really running it really good in practice. They're using it. It's comforting. And so last year was no good. This year it's back. And it takes time. In OTAs, you got to watch film. You got to show them. And then you got to practice it. And so if there's routes like that we like, that we can be advantageous within a concept, they just keep working at it.
Do you and Coach Castillo have like a deadline, if you will, before you feel like it won't be the best thing for it's having to open up week 1 at left tackle?
No, we haven't gotten to a deadline yet, just because I think we still have plenty of time. But like I said, I without getting too detailed or too into it, I do feel like if you were to ask me, hey, is he, yeah, it's the same today for practice, but is he getting better, or is he going the other way? I would say he's getting better. That's a good thing. And so I don't know when that time will come. They're working on it, but I know he's doing everything he can. Our trainers are as well. And we want to get him out there so we can see. And that's important to see what he can do there on that left side.
Matt, there's been a rhythm to the preseason games in the past where, starters play,
Yeah.
ramp up and then taper off. Does lapping off one game change that? And also, does it matter what other teams are doing? Like if somebody's not playing their starters or whatever, does that determine who you start at quarterback or what you do?
I would say yes, a little bit, in the fact that it does change things. Having 3 versus 4 is different because we're so used to that schedule, right? And everyone kind of does the same thing. It's different now that taking that one out, so you're losing that one game. What I'm going to do is talk to other head coaches and find out what are they doing, number one, and then I'm going to also talk to Coach Flores, Coach McDermott, and Coach Vrabel, and find out. And I've already talked to Sean when we were at Tahoe. I talked to him a little bit about what he's going to think about doing when we play Buffalo. So we're going to try to – it's new for all of us, but also coaches have different philosophies on what they want to do. So some of it might not be so much by first team, second team, third team. Some of it might be position specific, right, as to how much a guy gets to play.
So who loses in this scenario? The guy's just trying to make the team in game 4?
No.
Second team quarterback, or?
No, I don't think, for sure I would say it's not the young guys, because they're going to get most likely a full game, or at least 3 quarters for sure in the last game. So they're going to get plenty of reps, and they're going to get plenty of reps towards the end of the first 2 games. So it's probably just a balance, to me, more so than anything, of how much do you want your ones to play. And where are you at with that, right? Like, so the first year, not much, right? Second year, want to be more aggressive, or however that went. And then the 1 year last year, we didn't get any. So it's going to be by coach, I think.
Do the joint practices allow you? Can you count those a little bit as meaningful reps for those guys?
For sure, those are great. You guys, as you saw the other day, it can start to get a little bit heated. And we're not even a week in, really, and we don't even have pads on, and it's starting to get like that. One of the reasons is with the grabbing of the jerseys, both sides. So we got to be careful of that. We're trying to we show video and say, hey, listen, guys, like, we got to be a disciplined team. You can't grab jerseys on defense. On offense, you can't hold. So we show clips of that. But guys get angry when that stuff goes on. So when you get a couple weeks in, as every team, you're ready to see somebody new. And it's nice to see. To me, it's like almost like a little mini preseason. The thing is, you're just not tackling to the ground. There's no live.
Given everything you said about.
Go ahead.
Sorry, is that what Juan was upset about in practice the other day? Jerseys.
I think just it was probably accumulation of little things that added up, and then it gets like that. So I got Juan handled.
Given everything you said about Andy Dalton, you've expressed a lot of confidence in just his ability to master this, and you've said a lot of things already about how he's practiced so far. Do you feel confident that he'd be good to go right now? If they called you and moved up your first game to tomorrow, would you feel like
100%? 100%. He's got full control of this offense. without a doubt. I mean, we could play a game tomorrow and be just fine.
So then his project, the rest of this next month and a half would be what?
His own players and teammates, the timing of how to with these wide receivers, the tight ends, checks at the line of scrimmage, different things he wants to do, see what he sees with the defense, really getting used to seeing the pace. And it's one thing in OTAs to get your timing on air. It's another when you got people around your feet, and you got to move and do different things. And then kind of also learn from a coaching standpoint, what are we looking for and how does he match that up with what we're trying to get to. But we could certainly go out tomorrow.
Could
Speaking
you
of
give a
tomorrow-
preview what you're going to do tomorrow with the Fan Fest? Because
Uh-huh.
it's going to be different than in the past, so what's it going to be like?
Well, first of all, it's the first day we have pads on tomorrow. So we'll have the pads on. And really, for the most part, it's going to be what you all would see on a normal training camp day. The whole schedule is exactly the same. So we get a little more time, we get the pads, and it's going to be just what you've seen. The only difference, I mean, there's not going to be live tomorrow, but there'll be some thumping now and thud. I mean, when we'll have some team run, and you'll feel it more in practice. It's a little more aggressive.
Matt, with the need just to get back to Soldier Field, it's been a long time since fans have been there.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It's going to be neat for everybody, for a lot of people that haven't been there on our staff and players. They get to get in there. They get to see the fans that are there, which is fun with the Family Fest, and it'll spruce everybody up a little bit. But the excitement, it's always great being in there, and that's what we're ready to get these fans back. It's time, and so we're excited for that.
Matt, with Danny Trevathan, how much did you feel like the abnormal season last year affected him early in the year? And as an older guy, is he one of them that you're going to have to do load management as far as
Yeah.
during the week like this year?
I would say, and Danny wasn't the only one that I thought it affected just a little bit. It affected all of us, but Danny, he'll tell you too. I mean, not only do these players go through the physical side of the training and where do I go train. Remember, you couldn't go anywhere, so you had to create your own stuff on how you're going to train and where you're going to train, and they all had different scenarios. You got family members. Football was probably secondary to a lot of people last year, so that wasn't. But he fought right back and got right into where he needed to be. This year he showed up, and I know he's been doing some boxing, and he got into major shape. I mean, I walked by him just now coming over here, and the dude he's ripped and he's ready to go. And the load management side is real, right? He's older in this. He's an older guy, which is fine. But we got to make sure that we're smart with those guys and with their reps so that we can have them for the entire season.
Going back to the joint practice, with a few guys on the Dolphins entering that COVID-19 protocol, do you rethink that joint practice at all? Does that worry you, or is
No.
it pretty much full steam ahead?
No, zero. I'm not concerned.
Matt, we know Justin can be dangerous on the move. Are there things coaching-wise that, as he adjusts to this level, that you want to emphasize with him in terms of all that? Just either.
Not necessarily. Nothing different, Dan, than what we've done with other quarterbacks. But the one thing sometimes with Justin is, and he is such a weapon with his legs. Sometimes, but he's so wired to be a great quarterback. Sometimes you forget that you got elite speed and what you stress to the defense. So we'll keep an eye on that, making sure that if we run a naked or a movement or something where he can get on the edge, like you're a big time threat. So if it's not there, be careful of getting caught with the eyes downfield when you can just take off and run for 20. But right now we're more so in the phase of, okay, the progression of the play. What are you doing with your footwork? Is your timing good? And then are you able to rebound, like Dion asked, are you able to rebound from a bad play? Because that's what separates good versus great quarterbacks, is how do you handle adversity?
Based on what you've seen so far from Fields, what are you most looking forward to seeing him do in pads that he really doesn't do in shorts?
Nothing really until we get to the preseason when it's real. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't. We have the halo. You can't get near the quarterback right now. Now they get close, and I get angry, but it's not real. But in the preseason, it's real. So when we get to the preseason and we watch, that's where I think we're all going to be able to see truly where he's at.
Is there anything in particular you want, based on what you've seen so far, what are you intrigued about most that he can show?
Just run the offense. That's it. It's real simple. All the other stuff, the flashy plays, the anything that happens bad, we'll analyze that and we'll critique him. How did he handle this? How did he handle this situational football, right? But how are you running the system? Are you making plays, and are you being a leader?
Matt, we've asked you a bunch of questions about Nick Foles the other day.
Yeah.
When you talk about how helpful he is for Justin, how does that manifest itself? Is it sitting and watching film? Is it on the field? Is it talking about life outside of football? Is there an example or two you could give us of?
I would say, just generically speaking, it would be the first two you said, which is in meeting rooms when those guys are in there, just different examples that Nick has had when he's watching tape to help him. The other part too is when Andy's up, Justin's back there with Nick with Flip, and so when they see something, he can kind of guide him in what they're seeing. Is probably the two biggest. Now you guys know how special of a person Nick Foles is too off the field. And so he has tons of experiences and he's been in the limelight. He understands that part. So he's surrounded and insulated by two true professional quarterbacks, both on and off the field. I think that's going to do nothing but completely help him out down the road. All right, guys. Yep.